Have you ever dreamed about getting a teaching job in Cambodia and living that Cambodian life? I did too, until I quit my job. And I want to share with you why I quit my Cambodian teaching job. I want to share with you the challenges I faced and the things that people just don't tell you or warn you about before you take the job. So stick around, because in this video I definitely want you to know important things about Cambodia and their teaching jobs so that you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Okay, so the cat's out of the bag. You know I quit my English teaching job in Cambodia, and now I'm going to tell you why. But first of all, before we get into that, why did I take the job in the first place? You're probably wondering, if you didn't catch my last video. Well, the reason I took it was an opportunity to live in an exotic location, to leverage Geo-Arbitrage, where my rent is cheap, my living expenses are cheap, to take advantage of their decent pay, because when you're a foreigner and you teach out here, you get paid 3 times more than the average Cambodian citizen. So that's one of the big reasons. And then the other big reason, well, of course, my age. I'm 55, and I checked out other countries like Thailand and Vietnam, and those countries have a cap. Like, if you're 55, they really don't want to take you because it's hard to get a work permit in those countries. So in Cambodia, they're pretty relaxed. They'll take you all the way up to 75 if you can do the job, right? So that's the reason why I started down that road. And I was like, okay, I'd be able to park myself in a cheap country where my dollar can go further, even though I'm earning money, Cambodian money, but they're paying me 3 times more than the average citizen, which means I can meet my living expenses and have extra money left over to replenish my finances from my last 2 years of travel, and, you know, be able to travel within the country and see more of Cambodia. So that was the whole reason why I started down this journey in the first place. Oh, and if you're hearing sounds out here, I'm in my apartment with the windows open, and it's a little muggy, hence the fan. Don't worry, I know there's some faithful subscribers that are like, we want to see the apartment. Well, you're seeing part of it now, and I will make a separate video for another day. But right now, let's get back to the story of why I quit my Cambodian teaching job. Okay, so I'm just going to bring you up to speed if you never watched the last video. Just real quick synopsis. So I got this great teaching job through this company called AVSE, okay? It's an Australian outfit. I paid $800 to go into this type of classroom environment. At least I thought it was a classroom. They're supposed to give you like on-the-job training, so that was the whole reason I did it. I signed up with them so that I would have a contact in Cambodia to help me get the job. They take your resume and they send it out to different employers, different schools that are hiring, okay? Now, I specifically told the recruiter before I even got into the program, I says, you know, I prefer teaching adult students more than children, but I would consider maybe, you know, 12, 15-year-olds, but they got to be older. And they're like, no problem. There's all kinds of jobs out here. Okay. They're not lying. There are a lot of schools out here that are hiring. And there's international, private, public. They do exist. There's language centers. Phnom Penh, believe it or not, is an up-and-coming country, and they want their people to learn English. So that really is the truth out here. But here's the thing that the recruiter does not tell you. is that you can't always get what you want when you want it. Wasn't that a song? You can't always get what you want. The Rolling Stones, showing my age. But anyway, so they knew what I wanted, but they're sending out the resumes to the schools that have an immediate need. And these schools are for young children. So if you want a job right away within a 30-day period, you pretty much are roped in to taking a job of really young kids. So, I was like, okay, so I went for a couple interviews. The first interview, I didn't like the school and the vibe, skipped it. Went to the second interview, clicked right away with the principal. She was great, and then she just offered me the job right on the spot, and she's like, the only opening I have is to teach kindergarten. Would you be interested in that? So I thought about it real quick, and then I was like, man, I really need that job. I didn't want to take it, but I was like, okay. So I said, yeah, what the heck, I'll take the job, right? How hard could it be teaching these little bitty 6-year-old kids, right? Because when I went into some of my observation classes, that's like your on-the-job training, I did some mock classes with 6-7-year-old kids, and they were well behaved. They had teacher assistants in the classroom that would keep the kids calm and under control so that they would pay attention to me. So I was like, okay, yeah, this will be a breeze, So I took the job. I was totally wrong. I mean, the curriculum itself is easy. They give you a 1-page report, or lesson, I should say. It's 1 page out of a book. That's phonics. I actually had 3 classes in the morning and 3 classes in the afternoon, okay? I was not told that I was going to teach more than one subject. I was under the impression I was only teaching English. And I was also under the impression from my recruiter school that all of these teaching jobs are a max of 20 hours a week. Because I was like, great, I can work part-time, and then have the rest of the day to do whatever I want to do. So I get hired, and I'm looking at the contract, and it says you have to work 7:30 in the morning. You got to be there at 7:30 in the morning, and you work till 4:30 in the afternoon. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this ain't no 20-hour work week. Where's the 20 hours, right? So I was a little hesitant about that, and I was like, why 7:30? And she goes, well, the classes actually start at 8, and you teach 3 half-hour classes in the morning and 3 half-hour classes in the afternoon, but there's extra things that you need to do while you're there. And then there's a 2.5-hour lunch break in the middle of the day. And I was like, 2.5 hours? I was like, well, that's sort of neat, but like, why do we need 2.5 hours for a lunch break? And then I find out. So I start teaching, right? Okay, here's the story. I get sort of thrown into this like teacher staff room with a handful of people that have already been working there. There's a brother and a sister in their 20s that like Pakistani. They speak English. And then there was a couple of older guys, maybe in their 30s, maybe 40s. They're definitely Cambodian, but they teach English. Then there's me, okay? So I'm the only white American woman in this classroom, in the school, but I'm like, okay, that's cool. So they're very, very like, and then I had, okay, well, let me go to this. I had somebody actually reported to in the office staff. So this lady was supposed to be my liaison, and she would give me the teaching material and tell me how to do it, right? Well, she gives me the books. So now I'm teaching not only English, but phonics and math. And I'm like, what is this? Well, she goes, well, here's how it's gonna go. You got 3 classes in the morning, so this is how it's gonna work. You handle class E and class F, but you're going between the two of them. So class E in the morning, you teach phonics. Then you go to class F and you teach phonics again. Then you go back to class E and you teach English. Or no, math. Then you teach math. It was so confusing. I had her write it down. Then she says, then you do your lunch break, and then you go in the afternoon back to class E. Now you're switching gears and you're teaching English. I even have to remember. Then you go to the class F and teach English. So they never get math. Then you go back to class E and it's free time. You can do whatever you want. And I'm like, okay, so I'm following the lesson plans. And like I said, they're one page, and you've got to make this last for 30 to 45 minutes, okay? And you've got 6-year-old children that get bored very easily. And I'm doing my thing, you know, and they're happy, and I guess they, you know, they were overly happy to have a white American woman teaching them. You know, and it's cute at first when they come up and they want to hug you and, oh, I love you, Teacher Tammy. But then you got like, you got maybe 10 of them all hugging you around your waist, and they're hanging on your legs, and you can't break free. And you're like, okay, I love you too. Okay, go sit down. So you're fighting them off of you. They're constantly on you. Like they're just like, whoosh, they're just right on your clothes and right on you. So if they're sick and coughing and sneezing, it's getting all over you. And I swear, day 2 after I was in that school, I caught a really nasty type of cold, a congestion in my lungs, which I am still getting over to this day, and it's been 3 weeks since I've been out of this thing, okay? So the first 2 days I had was observation. I did not get paid for. They said it's non-pay. On-the-job training, non-pay. The next 4 days I taught, I was getting paid. Okay, so I'm going through the motions. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. Now, here's another couple weird things about this school. Now, I'm not going to name the school out in particular because I don't know if all the schools around here do this, but this one particular school, I felt, in my opinion, it was highly propagandized. What do I mean by that? Why did they want me there at 7:30 every morning? I'll tell you why. They lined us up. All of the English teachers, including me, we had to go outside of the school in front of the wall, right on the street, and get our picture taken in a group. So all of us would line up with our backs against the wall and we'd get our pictures taken every morning at 7:30 sharp. And I asked one of the teachers, I said, why are we doing this every day? Like, is this going on social media? What's this about? And they're like, we really don't know. And they've been working there. And I'm like, this is strange. And here's another thing. They had me sign up they use Telegram for communication, the Telegram app. So they had me sign up in their Telegram group, their teacher group. And all these pictures that they were taking of us, me, the children, and here's another thing. They would come through the classroom. I'd be in the middle of giving my lesson, and then somebody would just open the door and say, oh, we're here for a picture. And they just start snapping pictures. They tell the kids, smile. And they're taking all these pictures, interrupting the class. And this was like on a daily. I was like, okay, then I got to get them calm again so they can learn. All right. So yeah, all these pictures were actually just taken throughout the day, and they were shared on our Telegram group chat. And I was like, and they were even sending it out on the weekends. There was like 50 pictures they would take and just keep posting and posting and posting. And I was like, Why are you sending it to me, the teacher? I see these kids on a daily, like I don't need to keep seeing them throughout the day, like even on my days off, right? So that was one weird thing. Here's another thing they had me do. You can't volunteer for this stuff. They make you do this. I'm sorry if you're hearing this. This is a motorbike coming through the neighborhood. Let's wait till he goes. Okay. So it was Green Day, I guess for the earth and all of that. So they say, teacher, you and your kids come out to the playground. We need to do whatever. I'm like, okay. So we go out there. There's a big pile of dirt in the middle of the playground. Pile of dirt. There's like planters all around the dirt. Little shovels for the kids. And they had little teeny seats where I had to sit on one little teeny seat next to the pile of dirt. Grant you, I'm in my work clothes with my dress shoes on. I was not told this was gonna happen today. So I'm getting my shoes dirty. I'm sitting next to this pile of dirt. They have these little packets of seeds, okay? And they had the kids stand around the pile of dirt and me sit next to the pile of dirt, and they told me to take the pack of seeds and hold it in one hand and take the shovel and hold it in the other and smile. So they're snapping pictures of me next to the dirt with all these kids, and then they're gonna video, and she's like, now take this plant. So she took this plant out that had a root, and she goes, explain to the children about the root of the plant in English. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, yeah, this is the root, and this is how it grows, and and they're filming me the whole time. I'm just winging it. I don't know what to say. And the kids are all like, ah. It was so weird. So that was another weird thing. Here's another strange thing. There was some kind of tradition. I find it a little odd because we don't do this in American schools. We used to say the Pledge of Allegiance, which was cool, but they take it to the extreme. Okay, they do their own Pledge of Allegiance. Every Friday, they had all the kids and all the classes go out to the main playground area, and they'd have a flagpole, and they would play on the music like their national anthem, and they would have the kids raise the flag, which, okay, was cute. And then they'd have them like dance, and they'd make them dance. And then one of the teachers would say, yeah, we do this every Friday morning. It's called circle time. And you could tell half these kids were bored. They didn't want to do it. They just looked like they were forced to do it. You know what I mean? Just like me, being forced to stand in front of the school to take my picture every morning. When you're feeling like crap. That's when my cold started getting worse. So here I am, I can barely talk. And again with the kids, okay, I thought I could handle small children because I have 2 kids of my own. But when they're not your children, you just want to, but you can't. You have to keep your composure. But I had kids crawling on the floor. I had them, teacher, they run up to you, can I use the bathroom? Wanting to go in and out of the door, use the bathroom. Then they start screaming. This is the worst part. I'm already sick. And when you've got 15 kids in an enclosed classroom that's made of like concrete, and it echoes, okay, it's like an echo chamber, and they all get crazy and loud, and they're screaming at the top of their lungs. It definitely hurt my ears. So now I have a sore throat because I'm trying to yell at them to tell them to be quiet, and I'm hearing high-pitched noises that are hurting my ears, and I'm just losing my mind. Like after the 4th day of teaching, which was a Monday afternoon, I came home, I sat on the couch like I am now, and I just shook my head and I said, I don't think I can do this. I can't do this anymore. You know, either my patience isn't there, or it's killing me physically, mentally, and even spiritually. Because then I was like, okay, here I am back in technically a 9-to-5 job, but I'm in a whole nother country. This is not what I thought I was getting into. I only wanted to work part-time, you know? I wanted to teach adults. What am I doing? I'm here working 9+ hours if you include the lunch breaks. And that's another thing. What do you do for 2.5 hours on a lunch break? Those kids, the reason they needed 2.5 hours, they'd take them to lunch, then they'd have a nap, and then they had a shower. They did this every day. That's why it took 2.5 hours. What do? I was like, I could either sit in the teacher's break room for 2.5 hours. They did feed you lunch every day, which was free. They made Khmer meals, rice, noodles, fish soup, whatever. So that was a plus. But then it's like, once you eat, that's 30 minutes. Like, I'm bored. I'm not just going to sit in this break room in this building for 9.5 hours. I want to go outside with some fresh air. So luckily across the street, there was a coffee shop and a regular restaurant. But you got to buy something. So I'm spending money because I want to get out of there in order to get a seat somewhere in a restaurant or whatever, just to have some shade and just somewhere to sit. And I was so tired. Oh my God. This one day at the restaurant, I think it was the Monday before I quit, I swear to God, I fell asleep in the restaurant. I ate my meal, and I still had an hour to go before I went back to teach. And I was just so tired and so sick. And I just started shutting my eyes, and I'm just like dozing off. Next thing I know, the waitress comes up and she goes, "Would you like more tea?" And she woke me up, and I was like, oh my God, I'm sleeping here at the restaurant. So yeah, these are the things they don't tell you. The work hours, how the kids can get on your nerves. Oh, and the thing about the teacher assistants, it's great when they do their job, but when they decide to go use the bathroom like the children, I had my TA in both classrooms. They would just say, "Teacher, I'm going to go use the bathroom. I'm going to be back." They'd be gone for half the class. So 15 to 20 minutes of that class was on me. So not only did I have to teach these kids and keep them occupied, I had to keep them under control, which is very hard to do because, I mean, it's like you can't hit them and you got to follow school rules to discipline them. And it was, like I said, it was too much for me. Now, maybe if you're in your 20s and you're watching this, maybe you can handle a 6-year-old times 15 and take the screaming, and, you know, you'd have no problem with that. I'm not saying that this was a bad experience. I learned a very, very valuable lesson. I wouldn't say that, I mean, part of me feels ripped off, okay? I'm not gonna lie. I am disappointed. I'm pissed off because it's not what I signed up to do. Sorry, I got a mosquito flying around. It's not what I wanted to do. And I gave it my best shot, but I couldn't do it. And I was just like, this is not for me. Like, I sat on the couch, I said, this isn't for me. At first I was trying to talk myself into working for the rest of the month. I said, let me just ride it out, at least get one paycheck. My body was saying no. My anxiety, like, I swear to God, I'd have my backpack and I'd be ready to go to work because I literally had to leave the house. It took 30-minute tuk-tuk ride to get there. And I had to leave the house at like 6:45 every morning to get there at 7:30. And when I got out of my apartment, I could feel it right now. My heart rate would just be going 90 miles a minute. And I'd have to like just take a deep breath and say, Tammy, you can do this. Take a deep breath. Let's go. Let's get her done, right? But my anxiety, like it was affecting me physically. This job affected me physically, which is why I never got better while I was working. My cold got worse. And here's the other things that you don't find out till you sign a work contract. There are no sick days, no paid sick days in Cambodia, at least not at this school. I don't think any of the other schools do it either. And if you take off sick, of course you don't get paid, but you know what they do? If you take off sick Monday or Friday, they dock you 3 days pay. I kid you not. That's what the principal told me. 3 days pay. You will not get paid if you're out Monday or Friday. Now they don't do that in the States, right? That's a whole nother level. Then she says, but if you're off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you just don't get paid for that one day. I'm like, oh great, don't do me any favors. And no PTO, no accumulated personal time off. They don't give you that. The only time off you get is 1 week paid at the end of the year in December is your time off, and any holiday that comes up, they'll pay you for that time off. And you're busting your ass Monday through Friday. So if you have family coming in or friends that want to visit, how are you going to have any good quality work-life balance? There is none in Cambodia. They don't have that here. And, oh, you want to hear the cherry on top of the story? I know this video is already long, but you got to hear this part. Here's the cherry on top. This teaching job is not only a teaching job, but you're a bellhop. You're the valet for the children as well. You can't just pack your bag and leave when the class is over. You are expected to go out to the front of the school where they got the teacher assistants out there with the kids' backpacks. And then they have people out front. When the parents pull up to pick up their children, they have people up front with a walkie-talkie and they say, hey, you know, so-and-so's here to get so-and-so, get them ready. So the people in the back go grab the child in the waiting room. They walk them up, they get their backpack, they hand the backpack to you, the teacher, and then you're expected to carry the kid's backpack, hold the child's hand, and physically walk them and their backpack to the parent's vehicle or to the parent who happens to be there. Hand off the child in the backpack, come back in and do it again. So not only am I a teacher, but I'm a freaking valet. I'm a freaking bellhop at the end of my work shift when I'm so tired. And let me tell you, this is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's the hottest point of a Cambodian day. It is hitting 98 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm in work clothes like I am here in this dress shirt. I'm sweating my ass off. And I'm walking these kids back and forth for at least 20 minutes before I'm allowed to go home. These are the things that they did not say was going to happen when I took this AVSE course. I bet if they told you all these things, nobody would sign up to do it. Half the people probably wouldn't come out here for these jobs. And so you're a valet, you're teaching 3 subjects, you're getting worked to death from 7:30 to 4:30. You have to spend money on your lunch break to go do something. I mean, unless you can get a tuk-tuk ride back to your place, but then you're going to be spending money on rides back and forth. Oh, here's another thing. In my contract, it says The first $200 of my paycheck is a deposit that they hold. Did you hear what I said? They withhold the first $200 that you earn as a deposit that you do not get back until you fulfill a 1-year contract. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've already taught 4 days. I broke it down. I said, I have earned $265 in 4 days. If I quit now, they're keeping $200 of that paycheck, and I'm going to have to eat the $65 because I didn't have my bank account set up yet. Here's another problem that they don't tell you about. The school that I was working with, you can't just set up a bank account with anybody. It's a particular bank that they deal with. And in this case, it was called Phillips Bank, which requires a $500 deposit to open a checking account. Okay? Principal's like, no. They give you interest on your money. I looked into it and I was like, no. They charge $500 for me to open up this bank account, which I need a paycheck to do. It's a catch-22, right? Hey, if you're enjoying this type of content and you'd like to support me and the channel, I now have a way for you to do it. Why don't you buy me a cup of coffee? Click the link below in the video description or scan the QR code. Either way, it works and it's much appreciated. Thank you. And now back to the video. So I was pissed about that. And then while I'm sick and trying to teach and all of this is going on, I still don't have my work permit. The principal's like, take this paper, fill it out, give it to the ladies in the office. They'll do their part. They'll send it back to me. Excuse me. I need to complete all these documents for you. Then I'll give it back to you. And then you take it to this work permit agent that I'm going to refer you to. And then they'll go get you your work permit for the school. And then you can open your bank account because they're going to need you to show proof that you have a work permit and you're working with us. I was like, okay, fine. It was like pulling teeth, brother. I'm going to tell you what. Day 1, day 2, no form. I get the form finally from the office and I had to literally ride this woman's ass, the one that was my liaison. I was like, did you send the form to the principal? Oh, well, we sent it. And I said, well, did it get to her? Because she's telling me she didn't get it. Oh, well, we sent it to admin at that school, but she was in a meeting, so they're supposed to send it out to her when she gets done with the meeting. And I'm like, okay, so did they do it? So I'm still riding their ass the whole time. The end of the week comes by. Still, I have no paperwork from the principal. I'm feeling sick like a dog. And I'm like, I text her over the weekend. This is before I quit. I texted her and I said, do you have the paperwork? You know, and I also said, hey, look, I got in touch with your agent, the work permit agent you recommend, and she says she doesn't do those type of work permits for schools. She only does what they call, entrepreneur work permits, like you're your own proprietor. That's it. And she's like, oh, that's okay. You can get one of those. You don't need my paperwork to get that. You can get that on your own, and that'll still be legal for you to work here. I was like, you son of a... So I wrote her back. So I says, you mean to tell me that I never needed this paperwork at all? I could have just got one of those work permits? And she's like, yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, you put me through all this stress to get this work permit, and I didn't even have to do this? I was so pissed too. So that's where I stewed over the weekend, and I was like, I can't believe I got myself into this shit. I really can't believe this. It's not worth it. So that's why I said I went to work the following Monday, still sick, at the end of the day, sat back on the couch like this, shook my head. I said, can I do this for another month? I was like, no. Can I even hold out for another week? And I said, what's the point? I still don't have a bank account. If I'm racking up more money that I earn, how is she going to pay me? She's not going to pay me anyway. So I was like, you know what? F it. I quit. So I wrote her a nice little short text. I said, I appreciate the opportunity, but I just lied. I said, I found another job with more flexible hours and better pay, and goodbye, pretty much. And she's like, well, thank you, goodbye. I didn't even ask her about the money because I knew damn well she was going to say, hey, well, we're keeping $200. Remember that deposit? Whatever. So the whole thing was a big bust. And as far as my online teaching gig, I told you guys about my last video, that was teaching kids too. I was like, I don't want to do any children at all. I know what I want. I want to teach adults, and I want to work on my own time. And I am bound and determined to find what I want. I'm no longer going to go look for a physical job in Cambodia. Hell, I'm already here. I already extended my visa for 6 more months. I'm legal. I've already paid for a work permit, so I can legally work online in Cambodia. So right now, I'm just in transition, and I'm looking for online work that will suit me and my schedule and what I want to do. And I am one of the lucky people that actually has backup cash. I have a pension from the United States that comes in, and I can live off that pension. Now, will I be able to save a bunch of money off of it? No, but I can make it work until I find a job that suits me to bring in more pay down the road. Whew, I know it's a lot, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But those are definitely the challenges, and those are the things that I wish somebody would have jumped on YouTube and said, hey, this is what happened to me. This is what it's like trying to get a Cambodia teaching job. This is the things you're going to face. Maybe you might want to think about it and not want to do this. I personally cannot handle 6-year-olds. I can't go back to the matrix and be working 7:30 to 4:30 with no paid sick time, getting docked 3 days pay if I call out sick on a Monday or Friday, no personal time off. I mean, and being like, feeling like you're part of a propaganda scheme, you know, with all these pictures in the morning and throughout the day, and it was just so weird, man. It's like, you know, I know this is a different culture. This is just not my vibe. So I learned a valuable lesson. Do I feel like I wasted my time and my money? Part of me feels like I did, but then part of me says, no, you didn't. Because how would you ever found out what it's really like to teach abroad if you never tried? Just like anything else in life, right? So I chalk it up as a lesson learned, and actually something that I can reflect upon to know what I can handle. So I hope this video brought you value and some insights. Drop me a comment. Have you thought about teaching, especially overseas in Cambodia? You're looking for those Cambodian teaching jobs. Think twice before you jump into these things. Because like I said, this is my gospel story, my experience of what happened to me, Scout's honor, if I'm doing it right. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.